You're Nathan, Shadow Victor here, one angry pagan. Now this one's less about me being angry. More frustration. I kind of, as you might have seen through some of my earlier videos, I've been on a bit of a journey politically over the last 6-7 years. And I still, there isn't a definite home for me. I'm a socialist. I definitely am a socialist. But I'm a bit alienated being a pagan. Like the fact that there's no outreach to us that I can find it's very disappointing. So I'm a bit lost. I'm not changing what I believe because my paganism informs my socialism. No, in that the pagan sense of community and togetherness. Whilst a lot of us do these things, do our rituals and stuff by ourselves, the big things are communal. It's just, whilst it's poorly documented, there's plenty of evidence for the communal practices of the communal pagan practices across different cultures, from this island to the continental Europe. And I do feel that there's, kind of drawing off of my last video, amongst socialists and communists, there seems to be this strain of atheism, of almost Christianized atheism. And I say Christianized atheism in that it's very, it's to me, it's the way that Christians behave. They're behaving in the same way that Christians will behave. My God's the only God, and whatever you believe is wrong. But in a similar sense, this is what atheists have been doing to polytheists, including myself. In that, I get comments such as, "Oh, it's a dead religion," or you're just LARPing, or you don't even exist. Like, what? I believe in Frigg. I believe in Woden. I also believe in a force, a spirit, so to speak, of that binds all of life, which is a very pagan belief. So, I also believe in the Piskies. I don't care what any of you say, the Piskies are real. Unless you're from the southwest, and especially from Cornwall or Devon, you don't know. The Piskies are fucking real, man. Anyway, yeah, but politically, I'm coming around to this idea of healthcare, education. I mean, for crying out, for especially for the Druidic peoples, for the Druidic pagan peoples, the Celtic, the Brittonic Celts, the Druids. Like, the reason why the Romans ran after them is because they were the educational system. They were the institution. So they were the power. The Romans took them out. It's funny, a lot of people like to treat paganism as if the pagans were completely illiterate and stupid. I mean, illiterate maybe, but even then, it's it comes under oral tradition, and under a socialist, nay communist system, especially a British one, which I can see being different, because we do everything fucking different. It's not. I'm not talking British exceptionalism here, but we just do. We just seem to do things differently. Like, even if something from America comes over here, we take it and then we go, no, we can do better than that. Fine. Or we can do something different. So, you know, the means of production being owned by workers, yes, I believe in. You know, when it comes to housing, if you built your house, that's your house. If you own more than one house, then we're taking the other house, then having the other houses, all but one house, taken off of you, so that the others can be put to actual use, and you get recompensed for it, fine. But the major thing is build more fucking houses. And before anyone gives me the argument, oh no, communist buildings, look at, please take into consideration, right, that the reason why the buildings in the USSR looked the way they did, or even do now, was because a lot of the housing, most of the housing stock was destroyed during the Second World War. A lot more than it was even here in the UK, and there was a fair bit destroyed in the UK, but you know, the US didn't suffer that. We you know, quite a few buildings were destroyed here. You know, the city I was born in, Exeter, nearly almost lost its cathedral. I wouldn't have been all that gutted if I found out our cathedral had been bombed. I mean, it was quite amusing when I went to Plymouth to find out that their cathedral literally had been bombed. It was, only this burnt out shell, but anyway. Yeah, I mean, to me, oftentimes Christianity symbolises imperialism. I might be English, but I am not for the empire. I'm not for an empire. I don't pine for the empire. As far as I'm concerned, if any of the colonies want their land back to themselves, they can fucking have it. If they want remuneration, they can fucking have it. Because there's more than, that's not even half of what they deserve. But, you know, with a pagan aspect, a socialist, you know, my view of a socialist Britain is gorgeous. Okay, we're going to challenge. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to point out, I know I'm flitting around a bit, but the other thing I wanted to point out about communist prefabs, you know, the blocks of flats or apartments, they looked a lot better than they do now. I mean, they've been left to rot they've not been maintained for 40 years. So, what do you fucking expect? I mean, it's like it's not like London's any better. Any city in the UK is any better with the post-war prefab buildings that we had to put up. Us more than the Americans should be able to understand the Russians on this front. But because we fell for the Red Scare tactics of the Russians and of people like Winston fucking Churchill, we went in the wrong direction. So, Would I call myself a pagan communist? No. I don't think quite yet I'm a communist, but I suppose I could be convinced. But I'm definitely a socialist, and I'm not a social democrat either. Whilst I believe that, one of the things that makes me more hopeful now is that, especially in the UK, is that given the state the Tories have brought us to, as well as New Labour, but the state that the Tories have brought us to, people up and down the class structures are hurting, apart from those at the top. And then Brexit happened, and now we've got to wonder what to do next. And there's a social/cultural paradigm shift incoming. If not, we're into the beginning of it now. And I think a British version of a social revolution is possible. What would that look like? I see this happening more in a electoral sense over time. I can't see it doing. It's that keep calm and carry on attitude. I'm sorry, but it's, and you got Nick and Hakeem would probably bitch at me something chronic for this, but whilst I would prefer to have it happen on a faster time frame, given the way we Brits tend to be, it's just not going to be. We gotta work it. We gotta scratch away at it, but we gotta be bloody. The reason why I have more hopeful, in any case, the reason why I'm more hopeful for the UK than the US is because we already have socialist policy institutions. The NHS. Yes, the NHS has been hollowed out. I don't deny that, but it's still there, and if the effort was put back into it properly, back up and running. Corbyn already put the idea of a national education system in to our heads. There are many across the country that approved of that. Even across the general public. The welfare system, which is, could be, it was better than it is now, although it could always be so much better, and not be resourced from exploitation from abroad. We'd fund it through taxing the wealthy properly and such. This is the strength of our unions. That whilst it's been weak over the last 20, 30 years, we haven't forgotten it. I'm sorry, but the last year has shown that Britain has not forgotten her strong unionism. All of these different things, and as well as plenty of other things that I could go on about, but can't be asked, lead me to think that actually, for a socialist/communist, UK, or British Republic, BR, I can see that happening. I've said before, when it comes to the monarchy, that as it is, the amount that people care about monarchy in the UK amongst the general public has grown less and less over the last 50 years. I know for a fact now that even on the last year that she died, compared to, say, 1970, just for example, the amount of people that watched the Queen's speech is so much less than it was the last year that she died, or the last 2 years that she died. The monarchy means so much less. With all these bickering between the boys and shit, and with Meghan and all that crap. It's just the monarchy's going to go within 25 years. If what I don't want to see is, I suppose, I'm a bit. I suppose Hakeem and Ugopnik would probably rip into me for this, but I don't want to see a violent revolution here. You know, we can learn from the past. Not only that, but Britain's not working from the same starting point that Russia had to. I concede that USSR wasn't the most fantastic place on earth, but when I consider how the UK and the US, especially the United States, has treated the rest of the world, wow. So, and if you've seen my channel, if you've been on my channel, you know that I am not exactly pro-Russian. I mean, Russia now is not the USSR anyway. Like, if anyone's going to try and tell me that Russia is being ruled by communists, I will give you a fucking mental slap. Fuck you. Like, don't be stupid. Like, honestly, don't be stupid. It's capitalist. Russia is capitalist. That's what happened when the wall fell. Come on. There's a lot more for me to learn, and I am hoping to be able to bring you guys along with me as I learn more and as my convictions evolve. I mean, already in the space of, I don't know, year and a half, I've been what's considered I was never on the right. I never considered capitalism to be the way. I consider a mixed economy, as in, what the Nordic countries have, as being transitional, and I have done for quite a long time actually, since I started really thinking about politics properly. Like social democracies, to me, are transitional. But again, it's not. I don't think Britain. Yes, so there would be some serious hard wiring that had to be undone. But I don't think it would be even half as difficult here as it would be in the US. Because there are some socialist tendencies already here. Clement Attlee and Nye Bevan set the bar. We need to follow it. We have not tried to reach that high ever since. We've not tried to follow it. Attlee and Bevan weren't perfect, but they set the bar for socialism in this country, and I don't exactly know what happened. There doesn't seem to be an exact consensus as to exactly what happened. I mean, there's the fact that the ruling class got shit scared when, after Attlee's, at the end of Attlee's time, when they saw the reforms he brought in. I mean, Attlee, as it was, had to fucking fight to get the reforms he wanted, and even then, we had dentistry taken away from us after 9 months, and opticians. They take it back off us and give them back to private. But we do have a taste for it here, and look how much work Thatcher had to put into trying to crush the unions. It still didn't die though. Again, last year or so has proven that it hasn't died. We just need to put more into it, and the fact that more and more of people my age and younger are, and I'm nearly, I'll be 30 at the end of this Christian year. By the time we get to the end of this Christian year, but people my age, 30, 29, 30 years old and younger, we're not going right. I mean, some of us are, but the majority of us are staying left. We're not even veering central, we're staying left. And some of us are even moving even further left. But I do think being a non-absolutist, and being someone who's, again, I've seen on some of my other videos, my area of science that I concentrated the majority of my life on, is evolutionary science, evolutionary biological science. And over the last few years, I've applied that to the way I think about politics and religion. It's quite interesting, the history and origins of the cultures and religions and peoples and politics. The origins of this stuff help us understand how to move forwards. But so often it's being forgotten. And not only that, but it's quite difficult because a lot of the history given to us in the West about what happened in the USSR is a bit hard to get hold of, for casual learners, first time learners, if you don't know where to look. I've been getting, the first books that I downloaded onto my Kindle when I got that was the Communist Manifesto. And some of that sunk in. It really did. It's weird, I don't have anything on me now that has, and my Kindle broke, so I've been trying to recollect via Audible all the books ever since. I think on my next payment, fucking Amazon, I'm gonna re-download the Communist Manifesto, so read back up on it or listen back up on it, whatever. But there are other writers, Belfort Bax. Now, he's kind of he was one of those that helped to centre my socialism more. He made my socialism in of myself come more concrete. When I saw his piece, The Pagan Socialist, 1912 piece. Now, I have issues with Bax because of his anti-feminist stance. Some of it, almost makes sense, and then he jumps way overboard, and I don't know why. But when he talks about socialism and paganism in of itself, forget the sexism stuff, the anti-feminism stuff, but there are some things that he wrote that are bloody good. I advise you to read up on Belfort. Obviously Marx and Engels. I want to get hold of I need suggestions from people, really, and not just communist, but different types of socialist. And don't give me the crap about National Socialism, because that was a fallacy, we know that. So let me know what to go for, what you would advise, being, given what I've said, what you would advise would be best for me to look at. But yeah, people they probably have a question. Oh, paganism informs his socialism. What does that mean? Well, again, it's the inclusionary sense. Like, if the reason why I believe in the gods that I do is because they made themselves obvious to me. The Christian God, if he exists, then fine. If the Muslim God exists, fine. can be added too. The problem I have with them is that they can only accept one God, and it does my twatting. But that's besides the point. I'm more than willing to accept them so long as they cannot be so judgmental on me. Heathen. Oh, fuck off. But I kind of. The ruling classes in this country have brought a lot of shame amongst the common peoples of this country, of these islands. A lot of shame. The stuff that they sent us abroad. We sent our own people to fucking different lands to punish them. Let alone punish the people there, punish them. Punish our own people. It was fucking ridiculous. So yeah, I'm rambling now, but Britain. One of the reasons I think that the right have been so nasty even more obviously nasty in the last half a decade to a decade, is precisely because they could sense that there was a growing social awakeness in wokeness within Western society. We're slowly waking up and trying to get us there. Too many fucking libs slowing us down. But we'll get there. I'm pretty sure we will actually get there. Especially if the UK can do it first. Out of the US and the UK. If I can get the UK, if the UK can turn first, who knows? I mean, if there is, and I mean, this is an outside fucking chance, like the most outside chance, if there is a benefit to this horror show that we call Brexit, is that we could go through we could have our socialist revolution, and then try to work on the EU. I'm just not sure on it yet. Again, I'm not an absolutist, so I'm going to have to be convinced on this stuff, but on the end game, I'm quite in agreement, classless, moneyless society. I quite like that. I don't want to live in a fucking city. Like, bollocks to that shit. I like my countryside. Devonshire, Devonshire, Begatoon, Painton. I love the green hills of Devonshire. You ain't fucking putting me back in a city, piss off. But yeah, no, this has been Shadow Eater, one angry pagan, and this heathen socialist is signing off. Go the way of CEO. Bless the Thursday, everyone.